Good morning and welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your severe weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino, and welcome to the final day of June in 2011. We're going to start this morning's discussion with the landfall of Tropical Storm Arlene, which came awfully close to becoming a hurricane. Winds, maximum sustained wind, should I say, reached 65 miles per hour before the landfall of Arlene, and pressure fell down to 993 millibars. Now, if Arlene was able to stay over the Gulf of Mexico a little bit longer, I have no doubt that Arlene would have reached hurricane strength. But because Arlene was moving so quickly into the Mexican coast, there really just wasn't enough time for Arlene to reach hurricane strength, which is good news for everyone along the Mexican coast. Unfortunately, very heavy rain will impact much of northeastern and central Mexico with this landfall. So if you have any family in Mexico, please try to get in contact with them. Hopefully they move into a safe location, because with this type of heavy rainfall, mudslides can be a major problem. So Arlene's going to move into Mexico, start to dissipate rapidly over the higher terrain in central Mexico, and there really isn't much in the way of activity throughout the rest of the tropical Atlantic at this time. But I think that's going to change in the weeks to come as the intertropical convergence zone becomes a lot more active and the upper level environment becomes far more favorable. Back in the northern mid-Atlantic, far better weather conditions are on the way. High pressure is in full control and importing a very pleasant air mass with temperatures expected to rise into the lower to mid 80s over much of the northern mid-Atlantic. Upper 70s along the immediate coast because of a sea breeze. But as you can see, clear skies stretch from the east coast all the way back into the plains with excellent weather conditions, low humidity, very comfortable weather conditions outdoors for any type of activity outdoors. Unfortunately, the high pressure system over the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley is going to shift towards the mid-Atlantic coast. And while we'll still expect very pleasant weather for Friday and for Saturday, unfortunately that shift is going to mean winds are going to shift to the southwest, and also an increase in humidity will develop. Over the plains, we're going to start to see the development of a very powerful ridge that's going to stretch from the plains to the western Atlantic, and it's going to have a significant impact on not only the northern mid-Atlantic, but all of the eastern United States. Let's take a look at the latest European model guidance to dive into exactly what's going on with this pattern. This is the European model guidance for Friday evening from the Penn State eWall website. Now, normally when I have these maps up, I've overlaid the surface features. But the reason why I haven't done that this morning is that I want to keep this really simple. The model guidance from run to run is altering exactly what's happening with these surface features and when there will be a shower or thunderstorm, especially from Saturday evening on through the rest of next week. And the reason why is pretty simple. We have two major players in this pattern. The one player is the very powerful ridge that basically starts over the western United States and extends all the way out into the western Atlantic. It's a very impressive ridge, it's a heat ridge, and it means that temperatures are going to be rather warm, well, let's just say it, very hot, over much of the United States. In fact, portions of the southern plains and the Mississippi River Valley will likely break quite a few records this holiday weekend. Meanwhile, the northern mid-Atlantic will be on the edge of this heat wave, but still rather impressive, with temperatures in the upper 80s to mid 90s for highs. And the big breaker here, unfortunately, humidity is going to be increasing significantly, making for some hazy, hot, and humid days. But hey, you're going to the beach for the holiday weekend, so not too bad. When you're at the beach, you get a little bit of a sea breeze, it's more enjoyable. Or just stay indoors with the air conditioning. Either way, I'm not really expecting much in the way of rainfall with this pattern. The reason why is that all of these disturbances, these little red blotches that are over Canada, are going to be clipping the northern mid-Atlantic and remaining mostly to the north. Now, the southern edge of these disturbances at any given day will be capable of producing an isolated shower or thunderstorm. You have the combination of a very hot and humid air mass that's unstable, and one disturbance, boom, you get a thunderstorm. Unfortunately, when it comes to these mesoscale features, combined with a very unstable synoptic pattern, large scale, you end up with a lot of different solutions from run to run on exactly when to expect these thunderstorms. So the basic rule from Friday all the way on through the middle of next week is to expect the following. High pressure will be anchored over the southeast coast. Very warm to hot weather conditions will be in place. There will be a threat of an isolated shower or thunderstorm each afternoon from Saturday afternoon on through the rest of the weekend and into early next week. Expect temperatures to average above normal, anywhere from the upper 80s to mid 90s. You have a better chance of seeing mid 90s in the Delaware River Valley and around urban locations. If you're down at the shore, still very pleasant weather conditions. A sea breeze will develop from time to time, knock down your temperatures in the mid 80s. But overall, a very quiet weather pattern for the most part. We're not really going to expect any powerful cold fronts or a major drop in temperatures. It's going to be this back and forth between hot and humid conditions and slightly less humid but still hot weather conditions. So that's basically the forecast throughout much of next week. But every time you look at a model run, you're going to see a slightly different take on that pattern because each model run is going to handle these disturbances in Canada a little bit differently. And the reason why is because we just frankly don't have enough data to really break down exactly where these disturbances are going to move and how they're going to be positioned. Orientation is everything. The further north these upper level lows and the eventual powerful upper level lows that's going to set up over Quebec is, the warmer it gets for the northern mid-Atlantic. So let me repeat that again. If this upper level low that's going to eventually take hold over Quebec is a little bit further north, then we stay in the mid 90s in many locations. Well, let's just say upper 80s to mid 90s. But if the upper level low forms a little bit further south, let's say towards the Quebec-Ontario border, then we end up with a slightly cooler situation because we have a little bit more influence from the polar air mass because of cold fronts moving through. And instead of the 90s, we end up with the mid to upper 80s. Still plenty of humidity, but a slightly more active weather pattern. So orientation matters, and unfortunately with each model run, the models are having a little bit difficult time of breaking down that exact position. But overall, the pattern and the forecast is pretty much the same. So that's pretty much what we can expect for the July 4th weekend and into the first week of July. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA Weather as your severe weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. As always, you can follow NYNJPA Weather's latest updates on Twitter, Facebook, and of course at nyNJPAweather.com. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day.